Hello everyone, welcome back to the Craig and Dave channel with me, David Morgan. Now today we're diving into a question that's all over the news right now. Should we revisit the Online Safety Act before it's even been fully rolled out? Let's start with the basics. The Online Safety Act was designed to make the internet a safer place for all of us. Sounds good, right? But here's the thing. It's not even fully enforced yet, and people are already saying we need to go back to the drawing board. Why? Well, recent events have got everyone thinking twice. The Act was put together by the government with a pretty clear goal: to protect us from harmful content online. We're talking about stuff like child exploitation, terrorism, and really nasty communications. You know the kind of things nobody wants to see popping up on their feeds. Now, the idea was that big social media platforms like TikTok, X, and others would have to step up and keep their corners of the internet clean. But, and here's where things get messy, just recently we saw far-right riots break out in parts of England and Northern Ireland. And guess what played a huge role in fueling that fire? Yeah, social media. The very platforms the Online Safety Act is supposed to keep in check. People were sharing all sorts of misinformation and hate speech, and it spread like wildfire. Let me give you a specific example. There's this website called Channel 3 Now. It's one of those sketchy places that pops up when you search for news on random stuff. Well, they put out a false story about an attack in Southport, claiming that the attacker was an asylum seeker. Totally made up. But it went viral on X, and suddenly people were seeing this fake news everywhere, and some got so riled up that they took to the streets. Mosques were attacked, communities were threatened, and all because of lies spread online. Where does the Online Safety Act fit into all of this? Right now, the Online Safety Act gives powers to Ofcom, which is basically the watchdog for media in the UK. Ofcom's job is to make sure that these social media giants aren't letting dangerous content slip through the cracks. But, and here's the kicker, Ofcom's full power under the Act aren't even in place yet. We're talking about a law that's still getting its wheels in motion, but the problems it's supposed to fix are happening right now. The Act covers a lot of ground. It tells platforms they have to protect users from illegal content, but also from harmful but legal content, and that's where this thing gets tricky. What counts as harmful? How do you draw the line without stomping all over free speech? The Act's meant to be a shield, but critics say it's more like a sieve. Too much nasty stuff is still getting through. One of the big criticisms is that the Online Safety Act isn't strong enough, and sure, it's got some bite when it comes to really bad stuff, but what about disinformation, or those sneaky little posts that stir up hate without breaking the law? That's where the Act seems to fall short. Let's go back to Channel 3 Now. Even if the Act were fully enforced, it might not have caught that dodgy content because it wasn't outright illegal, just misleading and harmful. Some experts, like Professor Lorna Woods from the University of Essex, have pointed out that the Act doesn't do much about dog whistle tactics. You know, those subtle coded messages that spread hate without saying anything directly illegal. And that's where the debate heats up. Some folks, including the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, are saying that the Online Safety Act isn't fit for purpose. They argue that it needs a serious upgrade, like yesterday. The idea is that if the Act doesn't get tougher on these grey areas, we're going to see social media fuel this kind of chaos. But let's be real, amending a law like this isn't easy. The Act is a massive piece of legislation. We're talking about 286 pages and 241 sections of legal jargon. Changing it means wading through all that and figuring out what needs to stay, what needs to go, and what needs to be added. It's not exactly going to be a quick fix. Now, the Channel 3 Now incident really highlights the problem we're facing. So they put out this false story. It gets picked up by all sorts of social media accounts. A lot of the people behind this mess aren't even in the UK. They're in places like the US, Canada, and Russia. And even so, if the UK government wanted to go after them, it'd be pretty tricky. That's one of the big challenges with online safety. The internet does not care about borders, but legislation certainly does. With all this in mind, do we need to revisit the Online Safety Act? A lot of people think so. They argue that the Act needs to be tougher on disinformation and hate speech, and they want social media platforms to take a more proactive level of responsibility, and not just for the really bad stuff, but for the harmful, misleading content that might not break any laws, but still causes real-world damage. Revisiting the Act isn't just about making it stricter though, it's also about making it smarter. The internet changes fast, and our laws need to keep up. Now that might mean giving Ofcom more power, or it could mean creating new rules for things like deepfakes and AI-generated content. Whatever the solution, one thing's clear. The Online Safety Act as it stands might not be enough to protect us from the dangers of the modern internet. To summarise, the Online Safety Act, designed to protect users from harmful content online, is under scrutiny due to recent far-right riots in the UK fueled by misinformation on social media. Critics argue that the Act isn't strong enough to combat disinformation and non-criminal hate speech, which played a significant role in these events, as seen in the Channel 3 Now incident. There are calls to revisit and strengthen the Act before its full implementation, but amending such a complex law poses significant challenges. The debate centres about balancing online safety with freedom of expression while ensuring that laws keep pace with the fast-evolving digital landscape. So, what do you think? Should we revisit the Online Safety Act before it's fully implemented, or is there a better way to tackle these issues? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell icon just to make sure you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Now stay safe online, stay safe on the streets everyone, and I'll catch you in the next one when hopefully the topic's not quite so dark and I can make a few more jokes. Or any jokes.